alaikum. Uh, in the previous sessions, we talked about the SQL database. How do we design the SQL database? We talked about some concepts like the data structure with which was tables, and integrity in the SQL database, and about the operations, the join operation. We talked about some limitations that the SQL database have for big databases, and now I want to start the NoSQL database subject, and I want to talk about it. Okay. First, let me talk about some history of the databases. We could say that the databases, they have three different platforms that have been used in the history of database. The first platform for the database was the mainframe computers and the mini computers. This was the first platform. In this platform, we had these databases: hierarchical database and network database. These were the databases that we had for this platform, mainframes and mini computers. For the second platform was the client server and the web. When the internet was born and the web-based programs they came, this was the second platform. This was in the 1990s, 1990. And for this platform, the client server and the web, the database that we had was the relational database. This was the database for this platform. And now we are in the third platform here. And for this platform, which is the cloud, the social networks, the IoT, okay? For this platform, we have NoSQL databases, and still we can use the relational database. As we said, we can scale the relational database with some technologies, and we can use it. And these are the databases that we have for this platform, okay, for the platforms that we have now. So NoSQL is a database that is used in the cloud, in the social networks, IoT, which have a lot of data. The size of the data is very big and the number of transactions are high. Okay, when do we use the NoSQL database? We use the NoSQL database when the data volume is very big, the transactions are very much, and maybe the data is not in the format of tables. This is one of the reasons that we may use a NoSQL database. We may have some data that they could not be saved in the format of tables that we have in the relational database. Okay, but the main reasons are the size of the data and the transactions. Maybe the format of the data is not the main reason. Okay, for example, for the format of the data, for example, a book, it has a tree structure. Okay, a book has a cover, the parts of the book, the chapters, the main headings, the subheadings. The data of a book, if we want to store the data of a book in a database, it has a tree structure. Okay, the table structure is not suitable for tree structures. Okay, so for these types of data, we sometimes maybe we change our databases to NoSQL database to store some data that are not in the format of tables. Okay, and now when was the NoSQL database first started? The first company that worked on NoSQL was Google. Google in 2006 released a paper that described the Big Table. Big Table was a NoSQL database that was designed in Google. Okay, Big Table was a distributed structured database. Google, in this paper, Google said Big Table is a distributed storage system for managing structured data that is designed to scale to very large size petabytes of data across thousands of commodity servers. Okay, that was the definition that Google proposed for the Big Table. Okay, so the Big Table was a though it was the first NoSQL database that was proposed, and this NoSQL database um, uh, was a Big Table. After that, Amazon, it is another company, it released a paper in 2007 describing Dynamo. Dynamo was an NoSQL database that was proposed by Amazon. In Amazon's words, Dynamo is used to manage the state of services that have very high reliability requirements and need tight control over the trade-offs between availability, consistency, cost effectiveness, and performance. Okay, that's the definition that Amazon gave for his database Dynamo. So these were the this was the second NoSQL database that was proposed by Amazon. Okay, now the main features that the NoSQL database has, there are the four main features that the NoSQL database has. The first feature is schema agnostic. The second one is non-relational. The third one is commodity hardware, and the fourth one is highly distributable. Okay, these are the four features that the NoSQL database has. And now let's talk about them. The first one, schema agnostic. Okay, it means that as we said before, in a relational database, the database has a schema. The schema of the database, it is the design of the database. It means all of the tables, all of the attributes, the type of the attributes. Okay, it is the design of the whole database. Okay, that's the schema. In the NoSQL database, we don't have schema. We don't need schema. Okay, we don't have a design of the database. Okay, you need to know how the data is stored only when constructing a query. Okay, query is an operation on the database. Okay, so you need to know the data structure only when you want to do operations on the database. Okay, so we don't have schema in the NoSQL database, and we say that schema, it is schema agnostic. The NoSQL database don't need schemas. Okay, the second feature is non-relational. Okay, okay, what is relation? In a database, the tables, they may have some relations with each other. Okay, there are some relations between between tables in a relational database. For example, in an online store, a list of transaction, it could be connected to a list of delivery. Okay, the transactions are the things that the users, they have bought from the online store, and the delivery is the address for the delivery and the other details that it is related to the delivery. So these are two different data, but they are related. We have relations between these two tables. Okay, so we have two tables that are related. Okay, that's what we have in a relational database. But in a NoSQL database, the related data are aggregated together in a single record, and we don't have them in two places. Okay, we have all of the data that are related in a single aggregate place. And for example, in the example we had here, the transaction and the delivery, they are aggregated together, and they are stored together, so we don't need relations. Okay, we don't need relations in the NoSQL database. Relation is a concept in the relational database, that some tables, they have relations. Here in the NoSQL database, we don't need the relations, because the data and what the data is related, they are stored together. So we don't need relations, so the database is non-relational. Example of non-relational is, consider an order form of an online retailer. The order could include some products, the quantity of each product, the price, and the description, as well as some information about the person who is ordering the product, such as the delivery address and payment information. Okay, rather than inserting 10 rows in a variety of tables, that's what happens in the relational database. In the NoSQL database, you can store a single structure for all of these ordered information. For example, a JSON document. Okay, so all of the data of the order is stored together. So the NoSQL database is non-relational. But in the relational database, we have different tables. We have one table for the products, one table for the orders. Okay, then they should be related to each other using relations. Okay, but in the NoSQL database, we don't have relations. Continuing this subject, in the relational database theory, the goal is to normalize your data. Okay, so we don't have duplicate data. But in the NoSQL database, you often deliberately denormalize the data. It means storing the data multiple times. Storing the data multiple times. So we don't have data normalization in the NoSQL database. The advantages for this feature is easy storage and retrieval. easy storage and retrieval of the data. Also, the query speed is faster. Okay, so the non-relational database, it has some advantages that we talked about it here. Faster and easy storage. The query is faster and the storage is easier. Okay, so this was the second feature of the NoSQL database, which they are non-relational. And the third feature is commodity hardware. Commodity hardware means that we can use very simple hardware in the NoSQL database. In the relational database, usually when we want to scale the database and we need more hardware, the hardware is specialized and very expensive. Okay? But in the NoSQL database, cheap off-the-shelf servers can be used. Okay? We can use some servers that can't be used in our anymore, and they are commodity servers, but they can be used for the NoSQL database. If we have more servers, then we can have a better scalability using the commodity hardware. That's what we can't have in the relational database. In the relational database, the cost of the servers is higher, but in the NoSQL database, no, we can do our work with very normal servers. So so commodity hardware is a very important feature of the NoSQL database. And the fourth feature is highly distributable. The NoSQL database it's highly distributable. Okay, it could be distributed uh, between many servers, and we can have a good distributed database. Okay. Now, these were the features of the NoSQL database. They don't have schema. Um, they are uh, they are highly distributed. They can use commodity hardware, very simple and normal hardware, and they are non-relational. Okay, so in the database they don't need relations. Okay, so these are the features of the NoSQL database. Now we have different types of NoSQL databases. Here in this slide, I have named 5 different types for the NoSQL database that we will talk about them in this course. The first type is the key value. The second type is the document based. The third type is the columnar based. The fourth type is graph based, and the fifth type is hybrid. These are the different NoSQL databases that we have, and we will talk about them throughout the course. Okay, now for each of these databases, I have named some of the databases that are used for these hardware. For example, the key value, Bashu, React, Redis, Walmart, Airspace, and Oracle NoSQL. These databases have the key value in NoSQL database. The document-based database, MongoDB, MarkLogic, CacheDB, FoundationDB, IBM Cloud and Couchbase. These are the documents needed for the these are the types of different databases for the document-based database. The third one is Columnar, DataStax, Apache Cassandra, HBase, Apache Accumulate, Hypertable. These are some databases that are in this subject, Columnar. The graph database is Neo4j, Unix, GraphDB, MarkLogic, OrientDB, Allegro, Graph, Year Data. Okay, so these are the graph databases, and the hybrid is a hybrid of these four databases: key value, document based, columnar, and graph. Okay, so this was an introduction to the NoSQL database. Okay, thank you. I will talk about the rest of the subject in the next videos.